Hi, I'm Dan Casenti. I'm a cognitive psychologist and a novelist. So I've been posting videos to YouTube about e-dating apps and the different psychological manipulations they use to take advantage of their customers, basically extracting more money from them while giving them worse service. In this video, we're going to be talking about gamification. So gamification is pretty easy to understand. It takes a non-game situation or scenario that you might confront in your life and turn it into a game by inventing some task where your performance on that task determines how many points you get. Great example of this is, let's say you have a bunch of crumpled up paper on your desk and you eye the garbage can and you decide you're going to try to throw as many baskets as you can. That's gamifying the system. The better you are at making baskets, the more points you get. Now, no one's going to get too upset about gamification. It's just a way of adding a little bit of extra spice to life. When it gets a little dicey is when e-dating companies use it to take advantage of their customers. Basically, since we have this tendency to gamify, we're going to use that against you so you become more dependent on our app. That's exactly what they do. Now, as a novelist, I can tell you that one of the most compelling types of stories is a good love story. First, it's a really noble goal. You want to try to develop a loving bond with somebody else so that you can develop care and understanding for one another so you can get through the hard times together while enjoying the easy times together. That's something that really tugs at our heartstrings, and we root for a protagonist to reach that. But a good story also has a lot of internal conflict with the protagonist or the main character. And they're trying to go through their story, trying to get their want, but their need underneath is what they really need to resolve. That makes for a compelling story, and that happens in real life. When you're in love with somebody, you want to try to resolve those internal struggles because you don't want your baggage to become your loved one's burden. So it's a great opportunity for self-growth. Now, I'm not saying that life is a fairy tale. There are going to be fights and squabbles, but the strength of that loving bond can help you get through those times faster, the stronger it is. And this is exactly what e-dating apps are supposed to be helping with. They're not supposed to get you all the way to that loving bond, but what they're supposed to do is help that search process so that you can find those people who are compatible with you and you might be able to form that bond with. So they're supposed to help with the search, and the rest is up to you. But unfortunately, as I've been reviewing in these videos, the e-dating apps are always throwing these manipulations at us, making their job more complicated. And the reason for that is because of something I mentioned in the first video. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, I've linked in the description along with the other two. There are two different goals going on in e-dating. One is the company's goal. The company wants to use their platform to extract as much money as they can from each subscriber. And the goal of many of the people who sign up for these apps is to find that one long-term commitment. Now, not everyone's looking for a commitment. Some want short-term relationships. And if that's you, maybe this won't resonate with you on a personal level. But even you'll need to acknowledge that they're advertising themselves, marketing themselves to being able to help find that one committed relationship. So they should try to do that. When the person's goal is to find that one committed relationship, they want to find that person as soon as possible. And if they do find that person as soon as possible, they're going to get off the app and they're not going to pay that company anymore. So the last thing the company wants is for that person to find their partner. What they try to do with gamification is bring the person over from the goal of finding that one partner to a goal of trying to find as much engagement as possible, to get those point scores up as high as possible. That makes a dependency on the app to play a game instead of trying to search for commitment. Basically, they go from trying to find one to trying to find as many as possible. And this is how the e-dating apps do it. They will prominently display in their app 3 different point totals. And they might have 1, 2, or 3 of these. The number of people who have viewed the profile, the number of people who liked the profile, and the number of people you're matched with, where you like their profile and they like yours. Those point totals are put prominently in the app, but some of them don't just put it in their platform, like Match.com, they'll actually email you your point totals to let you know how you've been doing lately, to try to draw you back into the app in a gamified way. It's not great. Now, I'm sure that if an e-dating executive heard me talking like this, they would call me out and they'd say, "You're being ridiculous." The fact is, statistically speaking, you're more likely to find that partner for life the more engagement you have, because that just increases your chances that that person will be in the pool of people that you're engaging with. So we're just trying to help you out. Well, I would call BS on that. Here's why. We all have something called cognitive capacity limits. That's the amount of information that we can process at one time. When that information is coming at us beyond our capacity limits, we can't process all that information. We either have to ignore some of it or disregard or reduce the number of factors that we're considering, or we might just give up on the task entirely. But it becomes stressful when we have too much information coming at us to make a decision. So you don't want to maximize the amount of engagement you're having on these apps. That will actually make it harder to find the person because you simply can't process that much information at once. I'll give you a great example of this. Let's say you're going to a banquet, and the banquet has a bunch of seats within this gigantic room, but the seats are unassigned. You walk into that banquet early, and you're going to have a lot of options to choose from. And more times than not, you're going to freeze when you get inside that room because you're not going to be able to make a decision on where to sit. Any number of factors might start coming at you. For example, there might be a speaker. Do you want to be facing towards the speaker and looking across the table? Well, that might block your view. Maybe you want to be on the other side of the table and just turn your chair around once the dinner's over and you're listening. There's any number of factors that might come in too. I mean, perhaps you're looking to sit next to some people that you didn't arrive with. Well, you've got to figure out where they might want to sit and make it clear you're sitting there so that they'll come over to you. Maybe you don't want to sit next to some people. You want to have your back to the door because you don't want them to see you because they might want to sit next to you, but you definitely don't want to sit next to them. Any number of factors might be coming at you when trying to choose a seat. You see how easy it can be to get overwhelmed? Well, now take my example and make it, who do you want to partner with for life? That's going to make you freeze up for sure if you have too many choices. It's not true that you want to maximize the amount of engagement because you want to, if you're looking for that committed partner, find one out of that. And having too many options is going to throw you off. So, the best thing to do is to have 3 to 5 options. Obviously, 0 is the worst case scenario. 1, you might feel forced. 2, you might feel forced. But at 3, you've got some wiggle room. Even if somebody's, gaslighting you in their profile, they're lying about stuff, you have some room. So if it's 3 people and 2 of them happen to be speaking mistruths about themselves, you've got a third one that you can lean on. 3 to 5 is manageable for this kind of decision. That's where you want to aim. You don't want to aim for too many choices. Now, for the rest of this video, it does get a little worse, but I am only going to be talking about heterosexual e-dating. That's because gamification exploits known gender differences. Now, if you weren't aware of this, I would be shocked, but maybe I'm going to shock you. Turns out that men are more competitive in general than women. Yeah, I know, that's hard to believe, but let it settle in for a second. Because men are more competitive, they can also be gamified easier. And when people are gamified, they start aggressively seeking out points. It turns out the data always shows that men spend more in the app and they also spend more time and effort in the app. E-dating apps really suck men into gamification. And so they're going to use their resources, time and money, in the app. This has certain effects. One, they're going to be purchasing a lot of extras like boosts and super likes, and I'll talk about those in the next video. They're also going to be spending a lot of time in the app. And when somebody spends a lot more time in an app, in an e-dating app, they're not going to necessarily be putting a lot of thought into any one individual decision. So when they're going through their feed deciding to like or not, they're going to start limiting the amount of time that they consider, and that usually turns into objectification. So they're going to be looking at fewer factors because considering too many factors takes too much time. So they're not necessarily going to go click inside the profile and try to extract all this information about personality or, character or interests. No, they're going to be focused on single factors, maybe two or three if it's displayed in the first display that they consider. But you can see where I'm going with this. Men are more likely to objectify within these apps. They're going to be looking at physical attraction first and foremost, maybe making that their only decision or criteria for making the decision to like or not. They also are going to shortchange messages. So when they're in the app and they've been gamified, they're going to get some matches. Somebody's going to like them back, and that will allow them to start communicating. And what's the message they send? Thoughtless ones like, hello, hi, hey, how's it going? What's up? It's not going to be, Shakespeare. It's not even going to be trying to ask a get to know you question. It's going to be these really short, like, throw it out to the same message to every single person. And that's not really the kind of attention that women are going to want to get, that anybody's going to want to get. Now, with men doing all of this, women have an equal and opposite reaction, just like in the world. As you might expect, with men becoming more aggressive and thoughtless in their messages, women are going to be more restrictive, pulling back, wanting to give up on the apps because not only are they overwhelmed with the volume of attention that they're getting, but when that attention is so thoughtless, they're going to become disgusted with the app. They're going to withdraw from it. They're not going to want to engage as much. So whereas men become more aggressive, women tend to become more reclusive and repulsed by what's going on in the app. And who's to blame them? I mean, it is more and more toxic the more the dating app is more and more toxic the more it's gamified. So it's not a great situation. Now, if you think, okay, well, I'm a man and I'm not going to be gamified by this, I'm going to resist that. Well, it's still going to affect you. Because with all these men throwing all these thoughtless messages at women, they're going to be inundated. They're going to get overwhelmed and they're going to be pulling back from trying to engage with the app. That means that men who are actually thoughtful about their replies, their messages are going to get lost in the shuffle, and they're often going to get ignored, unfortunately. So don't think for a second that anybody, whether gamified or not, man or woman or not, are going to be immune from the effects of gamification. It affects everybody negatively. Well, I wish I had better news for you, but if you resonated with this message, if you agree with me, go ahead and hit like or subscribe to the channel. Maybe leave a comment. All of these things are going to tell the Google algorithms, hey, this video's got something to it. People are liking it. So it's going to put it out to more people. And we'll be able to finally lift the curtain on why e-dating is so bad and what these companies are doing to manipulate and take advantage of their customers. So I hope you'll do that. Well, that's the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching to the end, and I hope it helped.